It's been a good night. You smoked some weed, you devoured more Flamin' Hot Cheetos than you'd care to count. Then you went to bed, bracing yourself for a long night of nothing. You wake up the next morning and something's wrong. No dreams. Not even a glimpse of Juju the Clown, your creepy childhood nightmare who's been gate-crashing your dreams for years. Was it the weed? And more importantly, is there any way to reclaim those sweet, twisted dreams? Grab your favorite munchies and settle in, because today on the Infographic Show, we're telling you exactly why you don't dream on weed. It's gone from being an illicit drug that could easily get you harassed by the cops to the hottest item in the world. Marijuana has come a long way in only a few years. It's been decriminalized in many countries, and many states in the United States essentially look the other way. Now it's pretty common to see weed dispensaries on every block, selling the plant itself along with vapor extracts, weed-laced food, and even gummies. All for medicinal use, of course. But as this drug becomes more and more mainstream, some are saying that it's moving too fast and there might still be risks. And no, it's not just your Aunt Sally, who also thinks that she heard Hail Satan in the backing track of a Taylor Swift song. Marijuana's fans point to it having a lot of advantages over other drugs. It doesn't have an easy-to-reach overdose point, like many other drugs and even alcohol. It also hasn't been conclusively tied to physical damage like alcohol can do to the liver, or to cancer risk like smoking. While there haven't been enough long-term studies on its effects to make conclusive statements, it lacks many of the toxic contents of other drugs and is seen as a natural way to get that high. But while it doesn't affect the body as much, it definitely affects the mind. Marijuana's best use is to get that famous high, which has been described as a sense of euphoria and an altered state of mind and sense of time that can help you relax and release your worries. But it also has some physical effects that can stem from brain chemistry changes, including a negative effect on short-term memory and difficulty concentrating or moving in a coordinated way. That's why driving under the influence of ganja is as strictly prohibited as driving while drunk. And of course, there is its most famous effect, the munchies. But what happens when it comes time for sleep? While on an active high, especially for someone who has not taken a high dose before, there can be some strange negative effects at first. People have reported anxiety, paranoia, and hallucinations on a bad first dose. But it's not clear if this is a common happening. It can also cause some negative physical effects like increased heart rate and nausea if someone isn't used to it. But what usually happens after a good or bad trip is that when the high wears off, the person crashes and sleeps like the dead. But they may not dream a little dream. There hasn't been too much research on the effects of marijuana on sleep, but what there is points to it having a unique effect. In fact, many people who smoke regularly report that they're either not dreaming at all or simply don't remember their dreams. That's because marijuana might not just be making us forget our dreams, it might be affecting the very building blocks of sleep. And that could have far worse consequences than just a lack of cool dream stories. When we're asleep, we go through a sleep cycle. We might be sacked out and snoring, but our brain is still hard at work, firing off different effects to make sure our brain is truly rested and refreshed. One of the most important parts of this cycle is REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. This is where the muscles of our body relax. The eyes move fast and our brain gets most of its dreaming in. Dreams actually play a very key role in the sleep cycle, and the brain blocks out outside visual and auditory stimuli during this period to make sure we can make the most of it and clear out the clutter of our minds. So, what could be disrupting that? Sleep expert Dr. Ruben Nyman speculates that we're going through a REM sleep crisis, and it almost all comes down to the introductions of foreign substances into our brain chemistry. We're taking more drugs than ever before, not just marijuana, alcohol, and other substances, but over-the-counter allergy pills and prescription medication. And we don't know exactly how that's impacting our brain chemistry. The effects are subtle and mainly interact with us when they're unconscious, so a slight decrease in REM sleep in the population and a slight increase in insomnia might not be on anyone's radar. But maybe it should be. The REM phase of sleep is extremely important as it helps us consolidate our memories and process emotions. Think of the movie Inside Out, where our emotions are little critters who manage a complex workplace full of machines and various rooms that compose a person's memory and self-concept. REM sleep is when those little guys go, "Okay, the kid's asleep, double time, let's get this place cleared out." And if they don't have that prime work time, the person might be more likely to struggle with processing bad memories and suffer from anxiety and depression. A lack of REM sleep also means a person is likely to feel they never got refreshed, and they sleepwalk through their day's work, which, depending on what they do for a living, could be a big problem. But if marijuana is a major culprit, scientists are still trying to sort it all out. Dreams are generated primarily from a section of our brains called the hippocampus, which governs things like memory, emotions, creativity, and internal drive. It's highly active when we dream, but so is the rest of our brain, including the cortex and even the brainstem. Marijuana might be a safer drug than many, especially in moderation, but it does have biochemical effects on the brain, and it's also been proven to affect the output from the hippocampus. That's why our memory is impacted when we're high. It may also be why our dreams sorta turn off, but that's just the start of weed's effects on the brain. A 2022 study proved that weed can pretty much impact every part of the brain, causing temporary changes in the structural makeup of brain circuits, including the prefrontal cortex. And when people are actively high, it's shown that it takes them longer to fall asleep and shortens how long they enter deep sleep phases. If someone is only smoking once in a while, this might have a very small effect. But if someone is channeling their inner Snoop and smoking all day, every day, the effect on their sleep patterns can be very dramatic. REM sleep might be one of the most important phases of sleep, but it's also one of the lightest. That's why it's so common to be woken up in the middle of a dream and be very relieved that no, you are not showing up late for school in your underwear. REM sleep dreams tend to be very vivid and bizarre, so they make the most memorable dreams. And some studies claim that marijuana might be impacting those dreams due to its key component, THC. This is the main psychoactive component of weed, and its effect on the memory might be scoring a direct hit on your dream cycle. However, the science may not be as clear-cut as that. Some sleep studies with marijuana users have actually reported more vivid dreams or nightmares when they smoke, while supporters of marijuana say that the studies are far too limited and outdated to provide conclusive information on the effects of weed on sleep. Fortunately, there is a much bigger pool of users to draw from now because those weed gummies taste pretty good, and many people who have never thought about it before are stopping into their local marijuana corner store and giving it a try. While for most people dreams are a good thing, those pantless school dreams aside, that's not the case for people with post-traumatic stress disorder. It's very common for them to have extremely interrupted sleep, with them being woken up again and again by their brain, forcing them to relive their worst moment ad nauseum. Some doctors have begun prescribing a course of medical marijuana to help them suppress those memories and dreams just enough for them to get their life back on track. But the good news is for everyone, the brain is flexible and change can come quickly. So what's the easiest way to test out if marijuana is affecting your sleep cycle? Well, the one foolproof way is stop. We know, it doesn't have to be permanent, just enough for an experiment. There's a phenomenon known as REM rebound that happens when someone is catching up on sleep after working the night shift or burning the midnight oil cramming for a test. They not only sleep longer and deeper, but their brain is working overtime cleaning out the vaults, which can mean a lot of vivid dreams. Vivid dreaming is one of the most powerful experiences someone can have because it can allow people to experience some truly surreal moments that help illuminate things in their lives. This is the next step over from lucid dreaming, which is where people are aware they're dreaming and can manipulate their dreamscape, a rare experience that some people try to induce. But for those who try to induce vivid dreams, they often follow a pattern. They smoke marijuana recreationally, maybe stepping up their consumption for a few days, and then they go cold turkey briefly. Because marijuana is psychologically addictive, but not physically addictive in the same way as alcohol, going cold turkey rarely has negative physical effects. But oh boy, does it work magic on the mind. People who have recently quit marijuana report that their dreams become much more vivid, much more surreal, and much more memorable. Some talk about experiencing dreams that help them come to terms with past tragedies or come face to face with their own mortality. They come out of those dreams feeling not just refreshed, but feeling renewed psychologically in a way that's hard to achieve. So this kind of on and off cycle is becoming a popular way to supercharge your dreams. But is it safe and is it reliable? If messing with the sleep cycle was a serious problem every time, a whole lot of night shift workers would be messed up. Right now it looks like the effects of cannabis on the sleep cycle and the mind are temporary, but they can feel dramatic, and the chemical components of marijuana can stay in the body for up to 30 days as they bind to fat molecules. So a one-time high may not disappear immediately, And with most of the studies on weed and the sleep cycle having been done in the 1990s, there are still plenty of unanswered questions and a lot of willing testers. Want to know about a drug that will likely alter your sleep cycle much more permanently? Check out the one drug you can't survive, or watch this video instead.